Hey everybody, welcome into this Adobe Illustrator tutorial brought to you as always by tutvid.com. My name is Nathaniel Dodson. Today we're going to take a look at creating this right here. iOS, really I guess any smartphone, but iOS just jumps to my mind because I use an iPhone and it's just where my mind is. But we're going to create this sort of iOS colorful icon. It is heavily inspired. In fact, you may say straight up copied from an icon that I saw. I believe it was a photography or a photo editing app. Don't even know if it's still around. I can't really remember the name of it. I'll dig it up and I will include a link down in the description to this video from where I got this inspiration. But it's really cool looking. I'll have it faded over the screen here so you can get a close look at the icon. It's a really cool looking icon. It looks three-dimensional. It's going to be heavily editable, and most importantly, because we're creating it in Adobe Illustrator, it is fully vector. Let's take a look at how to create this right here, right now. So you can see here it is. In fact, I've got multiple iterations of it using different color schemes, but I've got this basic, just kind of like Roy G. Biv style color scheme where we go red, orange, yellow, green, teal, blue, kind of indigo, magenta, purples, to another kind of reddish pink up at the other end. And it's this like these floating discs, kind of looks like a honeycomb. I really dig this like pinkish, reddish to orange and yellow color scheme. I think that looks cool. And then just this one here, which is more of like a spacey, you know, yellowy, purpley, and the really bright green thrown in there as well. But I'll show you how to do all that stuff. In fact, we may straight up copy some of these color strips over from this .ai file to our new .ai file, which, by the way, if you want to create this and follow along with me, let's go File, New, and create a new Adobe Illustrator document, 2500 by 2500 pixels, width and height. RGB for the color mode is magnifique. Go ahead and hit Create to go ahead and create our document. So it's a untitled one. We can just save it, which I'll probably do right off the bat because I don't want to lose my work as I'm going through it. Desktop is perfect in this case, and let's just call this icon. The icon's probably fine, nice and descriptive, and just hit OK. I don't really need to mess around with any of that stuff. And what we're going to do, I'm going to hit my little flyout menu here. This is the flyout menu at the top of the Layers panel, so the flyout menu. And by the way, see this zoom loop? Everybody always asks me what this loop is. Sadly, I think it's a Mac OS or just a Mac only application. It's a little program called Zoom It, and it is pretty awesome. So I got this little loop. But anyway, you can hit the little flyout menu here at the top of the Layers panel, choose Panel Options, and let's set our thumbnails to like 60 pixels. I just want to be able to see them a little bit better, especially so you guys watching the video can really see what's going on. Now that we've done that, we want to go and grab our shape tools, choose the ellipse tool, and I'm going to just click once, and I want to create a 1000 pixel by 1000 pixel. Oh, I did 100 on the top. 1000 pixel by 1000 pixel ellipse. Go ahead and hit OK, and you can see we've got this nice perfect circle here in the middle of our document. In fact, if I grab the Move tool, I'm going to just make sure that I'm aligning to the artboard, and I'm going to align to the horizontal and vertical centers like so. If I deselect this, you can see it's a black stroked white circle, and I know that because if I select the shape, I can look down here and see, yep, looks like my fill is white, my stroke is some form of black. So I'm going to select stroke, and I'm just going to hit the backslash key, right? You could also hit this little slash right here. It's going to get rid of the stroke. We don't want a stroke. And then for the fill, I'm just going to give it like kind of a lightish medium gray. So I'm going to go with kind of this, you know, not quite as dark as a medium gray. Gray, hit OK, and we just, the whole purpose of this is I just want to be able to see the gray and differentiate it when we go ahead and kind of create and really build upon this shape. Now what I need to do is scale this shape. So I'm going to go Object. Well, I need to make sure I select the shape. I'm going to go Object, Transform, and Scale. And here in Scale, I want to turn on Preview. I don't want to scale it uniform. I want to go non-uniform. And what I want to do, I've got some numbers written down here because this is very exact. I'm going to scale this 91% horizontally and 15% vertically. So it's really going to flatten out my circle. And I'm going to, I don't need to worry about strokes or effects. I'm going to leave scale corners checked on. That's kind of the default. There's not really technically any corners in this circle, but hey, whatever. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Next, what I want to do is with the shape still selected, I'm going to go Object, Transform, Scale. Again, that's kind of bizarre, right? And I'm going to choose non-uniform. I'm going to leave horizontal at 100%, and I'm going to set vertical to 130%. Why am I doing that, you say? Well, I'm going to show you here because I'm not going to hit OK. I'm just going to hit Copy. So what we've done, if we open up our Layers panel here, is we actually have two ellipses. We have this bigger one and this smaller one, which is behind the bigger one, right? So, which is why it's not doing anything if I shut it off. I'm going to select the bigger one here. I'm going to hit this little circle, right? That little tiny circle there. That's going to select it, and I'm going to give it a darker gray. So I'm going to select the fill color over here, double click on it, and give it a somewhat darker gray to really differentiate this. And now what I want to do is drag a selection over both these ellipses and go Window, Pathfinder. Whoop, I opened the navigator. Wrong window. Window, Pathfinder. There we go. And here's my Pathfinder. Now, we want to use this Pathfinder option. It's called Divide. Yep, see that little tooltip that showed up, Divide? Go ahead and select that. What we did is we just grouped both of our ellipses together. See that they're within a group? Within this group, though, each piece, it's broken down our ellipse into multiple pieces. So first thing I need to do with the whole thing selected, I'm going to go Object, Ungroup. And now I have my center. I've got this top piece and the bottom piece. I don't need the top piece. So I'm going to select the top piece and hit delete. And from the middle piece, I want to recolor this, give it that light gray again. So I'm going to double click on my fill. I'm going to go back to a light gray, hit OK. And now we have this nice disc. Just to give you some reference in terms of what we're doing, I'm going to close my Pathfinder panel. Just kind of memorize what this looks like in your mind. See this? We're building this shape where we have a flat disc and sort of a front edge on it. All right? That's exactly what we just did. We got our flat disc and our front edge. And now that we have these two pieces together, this kind of disc shape, we can duplicate this and stack it up and then duplicate it and stack it down to create exactly the honeycomb type effect that we're looking to create here. So with both of these shapes selected, drag that selection over, make sure we're selecting both of them. See, little circles activated, letting me know that I'm selecting or have selected both shapes. We're going to go Object, Transform, and choose Move. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. We're going to move this along the vertical axis here. We're going to move it negative 120 pixels. I've got Preview turned on so I can see what happens, but remember, we don't want to move our original, so what do? Well, of course, we hit the Copy option. Look at that, a second disk stacked right on top. Now, this disk does not need to, in fact, it should not be the same size as our underlying disk. So, of course, the next thing we do is Object, Transform, Scale. We're going to preview this again. We're going to choose Non-Uniform as we have thus far, and we're going to set this to a horizontal of 98. And a vertical of 122%. Now, just hang with me. I know it's weird. I've got all these numbers written down because I kind of sort of cheated and went over this beforehand, but it makes it a lot easier for you guys so we're not dilly-dallying around trying 100,000 different ways. So horizontal 98, vertical of 122%. We're not going to go copy. We're going to hit OK straight up, and we've got our nice disk stacked now on top of our initial disk. Now we need to duplicate this disk again. So we've got this layer selected, and I'm going to go Object, Transform, Move. And once more, we're going to move this negative 120 pixels, and I'm going to, again, choose Copy to copy that up. Great. And, of course, we need to go Object, Transform, Scale. This may get a little tedious as we go through this, but hang with me. It's going to be interesting. It's going to look so cool in the end. We're going to go Non-Uniform, and really the idea behind what I'm doing is most important. We're going to go height. We're going to set the height to 90%, or I'm sorry, the horizontal to 90%, and the vertical, we're going to go 84%. All right, so we got that. That looks good. Hit OK. And once more, with both of these shapes selected, Object, Transform, you guessed it, Move, yada, yada, yada. Vertical, not 120 this time, though. We're going to go 117 because that 3 pixels is such a big deal, right? We're going to hit Copy. I don't know. It's just the number that I have written down. Copy. We boost that up onto its own little thingy there. Object, Transform. We're going to scale this sucker down. Again, with the non-uniform action, we're going to set it to a horizontal of 75%. See, now we're really shrinking it down, bringing things together toward the top. A vertical of 70% looks great. And we're going to go ahead and hit OK. Great. And we're going to go Object, Transform, Move. Yet again, in this case, we're only going to move it upward 80 pixels. So we're going to go negative 80. It's got to be a little bit closer here. We're going to hit Copy. Bring that right up. Whoop, I accidentally hit the tab key there, so I made all my stuff disappear. Just brought it back. I'm going to go Object, Transform, Scale in this case. Non-uniform once again. And here we're going to go 62% on the horizontal, and I believe just a straight 60 on the vertical. And I'm going to hit OK. So you can see we've kind of built up our honeycomb effect here. We've got our middle shapes are reasonable sized, and very quickly it kind of gets smaller, smallest up near the top. And if we go and compare, you can see that, yeah, looks pretty much about right. Looks pretty close to what we were doing before, so I think I got all my numbers correct. Now, that was our top honeycomb piece. So we actually want to go back down to our original honeycomb, all the way down here. So we're selecting our center grouping once more, and I want to begin duplicating downward. So in this case, we're going to go Object, Transform, Move, And again, along the vertical, we're just going to move it 120 pixels plus. So this is going to be pushing it down 120 pixels, hit copy, and you can see we got some challenges here because it's stacking on top of this disk here. Don't worry about that. We're going to kind of send it to the back in just a second. In fact, let's send it to the back right now. Let's go Object, Arrange. There it is, Send to Back. Voila, sends it right to the back, gets it out of our way. And what we want to do here is Object Transform Scale, as we've been doing, non-uniform. Now here what we want to do is go horizontal of 96 and a vertical of like 105. I think that's the right number. Yeah, 105 looks right. Hit OK. And Object Transform Move. If you're getting sick of this, I kind of don't blame you, but it's really, really important if you're following along to get all these numbers correct. Move 120 pixels again on the vertical. Go ahead and hit copy. Just copies that. Let's once again go Object, Arrange, Send to the back. Voila. Object Transform Scale. We want to go ahead and add an inner glow to each of just the top discs, not the front, not the like the front edge of the discs, but just the actual top disc itself. And then we're just going to pour the color in, and everything is going to work really nice. So we'll adjust the opacity as well. Let's begin with these center 3 discs, right? These 3 biggest of discs. But again, we just want to select the very top shape. So I'm going to select these one at a time, and we're going to go Effect, Stylize, Inner Glow. Now I'm going to turn on Preview. What I want to do here is go in Inner Glow with the mode of Screen. I'm going to go with an opacity of 50% and a blur size of, let's go 60. 60 is what's in here. I think 60 is actually going to look pretty good. So we're going to go 60, hit OK. That looks pretty cool. I'm going to select the next disk, and up here, all we need to really do is just choose Apply Inner Glow. It's going to apply the exact inner glow that we just had. Don't have to go through the dialog box or any of that junk. Boom, Inner Glow, great. Select that, Apply Inner Glow, boom, great. All right, now the next 2 disks on either side of it need a slightly different inner glow. So let's go Effect and choose Inner Glow ... which means we're going to get the wonderful dialog box. Turn on Preview here, and all we want to tweak is we want to just change the size. The opacity and blend mode are great. We're going to change the size, knock it down about 10 pixels to 50% blur. I'm going to select the one down here, and again, just go Apply Inner Glow. So we have that same 50 pixel inner glow on both of them. Now I'm going to go to the next smallest disk. I'm going to go Effect Inner Glow ... because we need to adjust the size once more. In this case, I think I'm going to knock the pixel down to like 35 pixels. Yep, that looks about right. Select that effect, apply that same 35 pixel inner glow. Great. You can see how we're adding all this shape already, and we haven't even started adding the colors yet. So that's great. Now we're going to go to the topmost, the topmost disk here, the floating disk. Effect Inner Glow ... to bring up our dialog box, and I'm going to change the size of my blur from 35 down to 25 pixels. Let's turn on Preview. Yep, looks good. I really want it to have a nice, strong inner glow on the top and the bottom discs. Whoops, wrong disc. There we go, that one. Effect, apply that same inner glow. Great. So we have our inner glows applied to all of our discs. Looking good, looking sharp, looking exactly how I want it to be. Now, before we go ahead and add colors, I'm going to select every one of these inner discs by selecting the top disc, hold down Shift, select the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, and the next, 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 next. Whoops. I selected the wrong one. See, I got the front path right there. So I'm going to hold down Shift and just select that circle. It's going to deselect it, and I'm going to select this circle here. There we go. We have the centers of all of our discs selected. I'm going to double click on my transparency tab here, and I'm going to set the opacity of each of these discs to 75%. So they're all going to be just a little see-through. That means you can see how you can just see the disc below it through that disc. That's awesome. All right, let's begin adding some color to this. So which color scheme should we go with? I guess let's just stick with the kind of the good old original here. I'm going to highlight these colors. And by the way, if you want these color schemes, I'll offer this this .ai file. I'll throw a link down in the description to this video. You'll jump over to tutvid.com. There'll be like a written blog post with kind of a quick written version of this tutorial, but there's going to be a download where you can download this .ai file, so you have access to all the artwork. You can play with it, do whatever you want. I don't care. But most importantly, you'll have these circles with all these different colors, so you can go ahead and use the same colors I'm using if you so wish, or use them on your own projects. I don't care. Do whatever you want with them. So I'm going to just highlight all of these colored circles. Great. Command or Control C to copy them. Let's go over to our new icon file here. Let's create a new layer, actually. So let's go New Layer. I'm going to name this layer Colors. Let's name this layer, I don't know, Icon or something. Up here on the Colors layer, Command or Control V to paste these colors in. I'm going to move these colors right out here, just off of my artboard. And all I need to do at this point, well, here's actually something that's kind of important. Double click on your eyedropper tool to bring up your eyedropper options and make sure that eyedropper picks up and eyedropper applies. Shut off transparency because we don't want our colored circles, let's say they're all set to 100% transparency. When we sample that color and apply it, all those discs we just set to 75% opacity, they would all be bumped back to 100% opacity. So we don't want to sample the transparency, and we surely don't want to apply that transparency. So I just like to shut them both off. Not have to worry about it. Great. Hit OK. Let's sample this pink. Well, actually, let's not sample the pink yet. Hit the letter V. It's going to grab our move tool and grab your topmost shape, right? So I'm selecting both shapes. By selecting over the edge of both of those shapes, you can see here, I am selecting both the flat disk and its front face. And all we need to do, use our eyedropper tool and sample that pink. And what's going to happen is, because our top disk has both that white outer glow and also is 75% opacity, we're applying the same exact color to both shapes, but it looks like a totally different color because we've got a reduced opacity and that inner glow added. So we can just efficiently use the same color and make it look like two different colors and even make it interact with the colors around it because that top disk is set to 75% opacity. All right, select the next disk here, hit the letter I to grab eyedropper. Let's grab that sort of purplish color there. Let's grab these two discs, hit the letter I, grab that more muted purplish, bluish, whatever. I'm kind of colorblind. I can't really tell the difference between purple and blue, so these colors are a little tricky here for me. Let's go with this. I know that's a blue. Let's grab this one here, and we're going to go with this kind of sea foamy tealy color. Wonderful. Let's grab this color here. We're going to go with more of the lime green. Beautiful. And we'll go with the yellow, and we'll go with an orange, and last but not least, grab that guy, and we'll go with a little bit of red on the bottom. Look at that. So cool. We've created this effect. The outer glow is making each of these look like little, almost like, I don't know, contact lenses where they each have a little bit of like dipping type effect to them. It looks so stinking cool. What I want to do here, I want to select all of this artwork and just go Object, Group, to make sure we group it all together so we can quickly select it. We can just make sure that it's aligned horizontally, vertically. It should be because we aligned that initial shape horizontally and vertically, and sure enough, it looks pretty good. Let's create a new layer here, and let's just throw a rounded rectangle behind this. I'm going to call this BG for background. I'm going to grab the rounded rectangle tool right here, rounded rectangle. I'm going to click once, and we're going to create a rounded rectangle that is 2,000 pixels by 2,000 pixels with a corner radius of, let's go with 500. That should be about right. A quarter of our width and height. Yeah, that's nice and soft. Great. And I'm going to align this to the horizontal and vertical centers of my document. I'm going to hit the little slash icon down here. See that tiny little slash icon for none? I'm going to hit that. It's going to kill off my fill. There we go. I'm going to go to the stroke. I'm going to double click, and let's just give this a very, again, a little bit lighter than medium gray stroke. So the brightness at about 60% is a little bit brighter than medium gray. Hit OK. We've just given it a 1-point stroke. I'm going to bump it up to 4 points, and you can see there we go. We've got that. I'm going to give this rounded rectangle a fill as well. I think I definitely don't want that red, so I'm going to double click on my fill thumbnail there, or color swatch, and down here in the in my little hexadecimal area, I'm going to go CACACC, which is a very, very light gray. There we go. And you know what? That's a little bit too close to the stroke color. Let's go a little bit brighter than that. Let's try something like F0, FA, FC. Give it a little drip of blue. Yeah, something like that looks good. Let's hit OK. And you can see very subtle, but very, very cool. In fact, it almost makes it look like the stroke itself should be a bit lighter. So let's go a little lighter on the stroke. Well, got to select the shape here. Double click the stroke. Let's make the stroke a little bit brighter or a little lighter, something like that, just to add to the subtleness of the effect. Now that I'm looking at it, let's lock our background layer. I just click the area between the eyeball and that colored bar. It just gives me that little lock. So I don't click and drag. So I can drag over my colored icon now, and I'm not destroying my background or moving my background. I want to scale this icon up. I want to make it bigger. The problem is, if I just scale it up as it is, all of the inner glows are going to remain the size they should be when the icon is only this big. They're not going to scale up with the icon. So when I select this, if I go Object Transform Scale and I choose Uniform and I stay like 150 pixels or 150%, excuse me, it's going to go through. It's re-rendering all the inner glows. I want to also make sure I tick on Scale Strokes and Effects because it's going to scale all of that stuff up 150% as well. And then I can hit OK. And now I have this big, beautiful colored icon in the middle of my document looking just like it should be. And man, oh man, you just have got to love it. If you enjoyed this video, if you created this, please upload it to Instagram, tag me in your Instagram image. I'm at Tutvid, Tutvid. I would love to see what you create. I'll try to interact with you, like it, comment, and maybe follow you if you have some amazing stuff in your feed as well. If you enjoyed this video, slap a little like on this video, drop a comment below if you feel so inclined. Make sure you subscribe to my channel as well. That way you never miss another video in the future. Yes, it'd be so awesome. For creating this iOS or really any smartphone application icon with awesome colors and awesome color palettes and styles and effects and all kinds of vector goodness in Adobe Illustrator. That's it. Get it? Got it? Good. Nathaniel Dodson, tutvid.com. I'll catch you in the next one.